the Chiefs and the Texans. So Houston, Femi, by virtue of their blowout win over the Chargers on Saturday, where, I bet Houston in the game, early on at 6-0 Chargers, could have been 14-0. I'm thinking this bleeps a wrap. Chargers are going to kill them. The play of the game, 3rd and 16, late in the first half. Texans deep in their own territory. Stroud fumbles a shotgun snap. The ball serendipitously bounces right up to him, and he throws across his body a dart to Xavier Hutchinson at midfield. They go on to score. Stroud hits Nico Collins. They're up at halftime, and they never look back from there. A great performance by Stroud and the Texans, and we have the same Final Four in the AFC that we did last year, just different matchups now, with the Chiefs, the Texans, the Ravens, and the Bills. So, Femi, the market for the Chiefs and the Texans, KC obviously coming off the bye is the number 1 seed. KC an 8-point home favorite, and the total is 42. Compare and contrast to the game that these two teams played around the holidays, where KC closed, a 4.5-point favorite in that game. So, like Kansas City, bit of a tax here to bet the Chiefs, but every team that has the bye gets bumped up as well. So what do you make of Chiefs-Texans 8 and 42 on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, that game a few weeks ago was even a smaller spread. I think it was 3 minus 20 or 3.5, heavily juiced towards Houston. It was we're hanging around between 3 and 3.5, and now we're sitting here beyond a full touchdown. And I think that's a little bit too much. I thought about this game, and I think you do have to upgrade Houston a little bit, even though, yes, the Chargers' offense is really bad. So just having a great defensive performance against Los Angeles shouldn't be oh my goodness, look at the Houston Texans. But we've seen the Houston Texans, they've been rated really highly as a defense. And then also you do have to give them a little bit of credit as a 3-point underdog at home, winning by 20. That deserves a little bit of credit. And you factor that in, even though they've been downgraded a lot, and you factor in upgrading Kansas City throughout the last couple of weeks and their performance against Pittsburgh on Christmas in particular, I still don't get to 8. 8's just a little bit rich. And I know there's the bye week, and Reed off of the bye. Mahomes is healthier. He's no longer dealing with the ankle thing, or at least we don't think he is. Xavier Worthy's better into the offense. Marquise Hollywood Brown is in the offense. Kelsey now gets some rest. We saw the postseason tour that he went on when he got a little bit of rest week 18 last year heading into the wild card round. They're going to be great in the game, but they don't have the profile of a team that blows teams out. And that's what this market is saying that they're going to do against the Houston defense that's really good. And say what you will about this Texans offense, it's very inefficient. They're going to be sitting in 3rd and 7 a lot, 3rd and 8 a lot. But they're all connected. They seem to like what they're doing. And that goes a long way. And I could see this team now, having seen a Steve Spagnuolo defense now for the second time in as many as 4 weeks. I could see Houston at least putting together a competent enough offensive performance to stay within this number. I think the Chiefs are going to win the game. If you want to tease Kansas City, that's definitely a way to bet this game. But for me, I'm not going to mess with the teaser. I'm just going to bet the Houston Texans getting more than a touchdown. But I haven't bet it yet because I see right now there's a 9 even money. Do we ever get to 8.5? Do we get to 9? Do we get to 9.5? I don't think we're going to go that crazy, but I just think that there's going to be so many teasers with Kansas City to where we're more likely to go a little bit more up than we are to come down. I like Houston. I'm just trying to time where I'm going to go ahead and buy into the market this week, but I will have a bet on the Houston Texans come Saturday afternoon.
Oh, I slammed some Chiefs teasers last night. Even and I'm going to give my opinion on the game in a second here, but there's just
really good teaser leg.
Yeah, just absolutely love it. So I have, and again, we said this last week, right? With the Ravens-Bills teasers. Even if stuff's out of range, and I'm not saying that's the case now, and Ravens-Bills kind of is, if you like the Ravens side of it at least, hopefully this isn't just a scenario where we plop fish in your plate and tell you what to bet. Hopefully you kind of know, and you have to like the teaser also, but on Sunday night, hey, when this comes out, this may not exist for that long. Let me grab a piece of it now. So I do have some Kansas City Chiefs teasers in tow. I thought you said it all really well. I don't disagree at all with what you said. I think the Texans are a bet on in this spot now. And you said you kind of criticized yourself for the take earlier in the season that Houston has the upside to beat the Chiefs. Now you don't think Houston's going to win this game, but the Texans at least flashed some of that upside that's been missing the whole year in this win against the Chargers. Stroud looked good, looked confident. Nico Collins is a freaking baller, dude. He's awesome. Yeah. And their defense is legitimately great, legitimately awesome. I think the Chiefs are going to win. I've got Chiefs teasers in, but if you made me bet the side of the game, I'm with Femi. I'd take the points with the Houston Texans. All right, let's go to Saturday night. We take this into next segment, right? This is on Fox. This will be the Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady game. Lions and the Commanders. Detroit opened 7. I watched this happen on the screen. I know some places in Vegas, Femi, an offshores open this over 10. I saw this open 7.5 at one domestic. And in the span of 4 seconds, it was 8.5 minus 15. The current number at BetMGM is Lions minus 9. The total is 55.5 for the Lions and the Commies on Saturday night.
Yeah, this is when I'm like kicking myself because I missed this. I was looking right as the game was ending. I'm like, all right, what are we gonna get as the opener or whatever? And I think they took it down. Usually they don't take it down because I was refreshing my app for one of the places here in Vegas. I'm like, hey, why isn't it not up? My odds board said they had a number up. Why isn't this not in the app? And then the next time it shows, it was 8.5. So I think that there was for 45 seconds maybe that there was a 10.5 and a 10 available, and they got slaughtered on that, and it no longer existed. They actually just took the game down, then reposted at 8.5, which is more of the proper number. Now, though, we do sit 9. There is some 9.5 out there in the market as well. If we ever got back to double digits, it would be an easy bet on the Washington Commanders. At these current prices, I'm probably more gravitating towards the total, and in the total, I mean the Lions team total. I like the Lions to score 40 points in this game. And I could see the Commanders doing anything, whether it's 30 points or if it's 17 points. It's a rookie quarterback in a hostile environment. I like the Detroit Lions going over their team total right now, which I see is 33.5. That's how I'm looking to bet this game.
So I think Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the game. I think he's definitely better than Jared Goff. And I think there's a way for the Commanders to not just cover. I think there's a way that the Commanders win. I am not saying I'm going to bet it. Just that the way that it happens, I think, is pretty obvious at this point. And I want to give Dan Quinn a lot of credit. Because think about what his decision-making was when he was Falcons head coach. I believe this is an reported and something that doesn't get talked about enough, is Dan Quinn's kind of transformation from uber-conservative head coach to now he's kind of like mini Dan Campbell, right? Going forward on all these fourth downs. Did it last night in the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I bet the Commanders. I wanted him to kick the field goal a couple times because I wanted to cover the spread, and they ended up winning the game outright. So you know what he's going to do in this game. 9-point dogs, huge underdogs, game with a high total. I don't think he's going to be punting and kicking field goals in this game. My sense is that he's going to be going for it a lot. And you know that Dan Campbell's going to do that, whether they're 10-point favorites or 10-point underdogs. He's going to go for it also. So, if the game plays out a certain way, right? In fact, I want you to tell me if you disagree with this. If the game plays out a certain way where the Commanders get their conversions, they hit on the big decisions, and the Lions bust on their decisions and don't get the fourth downs, don't convert the fourth and goals, I think the Commanders can just win the game. Not just cover the spread. That's how Washington wins. Now, I don't know how likely that is, that the Commanders are going to win, because I do agree with Femi. I find it hard to believe the Lions aren't scoring. The first digit in Detroit's point total isn't a 3 in this game, at least. What'd you say the team total was? 33.5?
I saw 33.5 at a pretty prominent domestic.
Hilarious. So, will they score 34 points? Or, they're going to score 34 in the game? As Femi says, yes, that's his bet. Tough to imagine they don't. I think if you bet Washington, maybe that scenario comes to fruition, Femi, and they just win. Otherwise, I think you're probably down late in the game and you need Jaden to backdoor for you, which can definitely happen. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet in this game. I have not placed a bet on it yet, other than, so transparency, it doesn't exist anymore. I teased the Lions last night while it was still available just to get it with the Chiefs and the Ravens. So I have some Lions teasers in tow. As far as where we sit now, when I have to do interviews at the end of the week, I don't know what I'm going to do yet in this game. Props I'll have, but side and total, I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's wild variance. And, you have a total that's extremely high as well. That's why I kind of stayed away from this one as a teaser. I get why people are teasing down, because you think, hey, Lions to beat the Commanders by 3 or more, that should definitely happen. And, I don't think it's a bad bet, but you see a total of 55.5, a lot is at play. And especially a lot is at play when, Nick just mentioned, both of these coaches are going to be going for it. So, you could easily see this game. As much as I like the team total over, it could definitely go under just because everybody just busts out on fourth down. And all of a sudden, it's just okay, well, we're sitting here and it's 17-10 in the fourth quarter because there's 5 fourth down failures deep into the red zone, and all of a sudden it just chews all the clock and there's no time left. That's kind of how the game went under last night. I love the over in the game. And the game went under even though the Commanders didn't punt in the game. They just failed on some of those fourth downs. So, for me, I'm looking at team total over just because I think the Detroit with the week's rest, that offense is going to be clicking. And the scary thing about the Commanders, if they don't get those fourth downs, or let's say they have to punt in a couple of situations, their defense is in a lot of trouble against this Lions offense. Like biggest mismatch of the weekend. Lions offense, Commanders defense. That defense, it's help. Like, it's Dan Marley guarding Michael Jordan in the 93 finals. You're cooked. It's over. It ain't happening.
The game of the year in the NFL. Ravens and Bills. Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen. It's the game that everyone's been waiting for. I loved at the end of Bills-Broncos where Tony Romo was just, I don't know if they knew this was going to be their game, but Romo's
he was planting the flag.
He literally goes to Nance. He goes, and that's where we'll be next. This is where we'll be next week. I wonder if, like, NBC, Fox, or it wouldn't be a Fox game, right? It would have been on NBC because it's the AFC game. But I wonder if, like, NBC and ESPN were like, really? Like, that's what's happening here? Romo's like, yeah, this is our game next week. I'm calling this one.
We'll be back,
this
Jim.
Opened. Yeah, and you know what? And they are, to be fair. Bills opened 1.5. Now it's Ravens 1, 51.5. It's going to be the game that everyone's most excited for, the game that we're asked about the most this week. Femi, any early bets for you or thoughts on this game with the Ravens and the Bills?
Yes, there was an early bet for me in this game, and it was a bet on the Baltimore Ravens to win the game at plus 105 over at the Sportsbook born in Vegas. That is BetMGM. I just think the Ravens are the better football team. And I felt like this matchup, we've all seen this coming for weeks now that we were going to get this matchup at some point in the postseason. And I just like how Baltimore matches up with Buffalo. Like a numerical standpoint, like I think that Pick'em is probably the right number. Like you could make a value case for Buffalo if we start getting out to 1.5, maybe even 2, to go ahead and bet the Bills. I'm not going to make that case because just thinking about it as a football fan, the X's and O's of this game, I don't see how the Buffalo Bills stop this Baltimore Ravens rushing attack. And like that rushing attack with the two most dynamic runners. Think about this, Nick. Like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are probably the two most dynamic runners that we've had in the NFL since 2018. And they're in the same backfield. And do you watch how they play in these games? There's no stopping Derrick Henry. Like Lamar finally has that big time skill position guy that he's never had in these postseason runs. And I don't think this Buffalo defense, which is built to play with the lead, is capable of slowing that down. And on the flip side, the Ravens have made a 180 on defense. This isn't the total sitting at 52 back in October when the Ravens couldn't stop anyone. When Kyle Hamilton went back to deep safety, it's improved the rest of the defense. They're starting to get a little bit more of a pass rush from those guys up front as well. I think the Ravens are just the better team. I think this is kind of Lamar's time, this postseason run. I like the Ravens to win the game.
I said it earlier, Femi, to open the show. We were texting last night about this. This will be my biggest bet of divisional weekend.
Yep.
Is the Ravens just to win this game. I'm in Buffalo. I don't want to get too caught up in what happens when teams play earlier in the season because it does feel like a lifetime ago. And I bet the Bills in that game. You had the Ravens, right? We went Oppo on that one, Sunday night game?
Yeah, I laid the points with the Ravens. Yep.
That was pretty
Derrick
good
Henry,
bet.
87 yards. A lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a pretty good bet. Ravens 35, Bills 10. I went back and looked at the box score last night. The Ravens ran 34 times for 270 plus, 8 yards per carry. Now, I don't know if that's what this is going to be. The game's also in Buffalo. I do think the Ravens are just better than Buffalo. I think the Ravens team is better. And even if someone wants to make the case that Josh Allen's better than Lamar Jackson, I actually don't agree with that. I think Lamar's a little better. But, people, reasonable minds can disagree. Yeah. Allen's great,
it's not a crazy
obviously.
Argument. Yeah.
But for people that want to say, okay, Josh Allen's better, the Ravens are better, and you'd like Zay Flowers to play in the game, I like the Ravens whether Zay Flowers plays or doesn't play in this game, Femi. And I don't think, and I'll get ahead of this right now, I don't think this is going to be a game where, because you're going to hear people say this, and it's a pick-em game, so you can understand, with two great quarterbacks. Whoever has the ball last is going to win. I don't agree with that. I think the Ravens will have this in hand prior to the final drive. So I'm in on Baltimore. The bets are in. Not that I won't bet more on it. I have teasers, Ravens plus 7.5. Yes, please. With Kansas City -2 or Detroit -2. Yes, please. And I like the Ravens just to win the game. So we are simpatico on this one, my friend, with Baltimore. And you feel great about it like I do?
I do feel really good about it. Now, the Ravens could also go out there and Raven And what I mean by that is, like, we saw it on the opening punt, like when Pittsburgh punted, like you see, like, what is it, Sims, whatever the hell the guy's name of the punter, like he like muffs the punt.
Sims,
like,
yeah.
It's like, what are you like? Yeah, like come on, like just be normal for 1 second against Pittsburgh, be normal, and then they were the rest of the game and they blew them out. But like the Ravens sometimes have these weirdo moments where like they beat themselves. As long as they don't do that, I'm pretty confident the Ravens are going to win this football game. For the total, 51.5. I get why it's high. I don't know. I kind of lean a little bit toward the under. I think the Ravens are going to continue to run the ball. Like keep Josh Allen off the field.
I think that's what Buffalo wants to do too, by the way, with James Cook. I like the under in the game also.
Keep their
I'm
defense
with
off
you.
the field. Yeah, like I kind of lean toward the under here. Like I get why it's high because you have the 2 MVP quarterbacks and they're awesome and all that stuff. But like I would lean toward the under. I think the keep away is going to be the theme of this game here, with both teams trying to protect their defenses against those really good offensive weapons, which are the quarterbacks.
Fair to say, is Ravens your favorite bet of the weekend as it stands right now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, like we're going to do this later. We're going to do this. Are we both going to pick the Ravens at 6:20 when we do this, or no?
I mean, I also like Houston. I just haven't bet it yet, but like I really like Houston getting more than a touchdown. I'm just waiting to see if this goes 8.5 or something like that.
I think you like it a little more than me, Houston, but I do like the Texans side of it as well. So we agree on that.
Yeah.
And then I need to figure out how I'm going to bet Lions Commanders. Okay.